I had a call with a potential client and they told me this line that I think a lot of people feel, which is, I feel like I'm playing too small. And for a lot of people who are very ambitious, who are very driven, they probably have actually created a lot of success in their life already. And in fact, probably most people who are watching this video, you've probably created a lot of success in your life. However, you might still feel like you're playing small. You might still feel like you are holding yourself back from achieving all of your potential. And I think a lot of people are actually just born with this sort of inner drive that has that type of message playing in their minds. I know I'm somebody who's like that as well, where I sort of always have this drive for the next thing, for the next success. But I do want to break down why this feeling might not necessarily be something that is super productive for you and where it's really coming from. So if you watch some of my earlier videos, I've talked about comparison before and how that is a big block to feeling inspired and really feeling like you're playing small. It's sort of like a game of comparison with yourself. It's what you feel like is possible for your own life. It's not about looking at everyone else. It's saying, I'm feeling like I'm here and I know I can be so much better. I know I can go so much farther in my career. But the thing about big or small, or even this term, I'm playing small, everything is totally relative. And I think this is something we can remind ourselves of to start to walk back to understand what it is that we might actually focus on next, where we can put our attention on next. So I have a kind of funny question for you, which is, what is big? What is small? So when you say I'm playing too small, what do you mean by small? And like I said, a lot of people that I work with are already very successful. So it's funny to hear them start to think about, and maybe you can think about this yourself, what do I mean by small? I mean only a moderate level of success or whatever it might be. But the point is, for anyone, big and small, these are made up terms. These aren't really real. And I'll give you an example. Is the earth big? Uh, is a whale small? Well, compared to the earth, a whale is very small. Compared to a small fish or a crab, a whale is very big. Compared to the galaxy, the earth is very small, right? Compared to a microbe, a blade of grass is very big, right? So I'm partly just pointing out that this is all a very relative thing, and it's also relative to yourself. What is big for me might be small for someone else. What's small for me might be big for someone else. I might be very nervous to get on stage and give my first talk. It is very big. It's a very big set of progress for me to give my first talk and deliver that. For someone who's very experienced public speaking, that might be small. They might have something else that's at their edge. So when you tell yourself I'm playing too small, it helps to demystify and clarify, what do I actually mean by big or small? And what would be the next step that would lead me to play bigger, quote unquote? And again, we have to just accept the relative action that we can take as being something that's big to us. So for me, let's say someone who's never public spoke before in front of a crowd, my big step, my way of playing bigger, my way of not playing small, is simply to give my first talk or sign up for my first talk. Whatever it is, it's a step forward, helps us become more of that person that we're imagining. So if you can think about that person that you imagine, if you can clarify what living a big life is versus feeling like you're living too small, it might actually be a smaller step than you imagine. And really that's my point here, that when you clarify this for yourself, you might realize there are actually some small actions I can take to start living more in that space that I'm imagining when I bring up this feeling, instead of just feeling the internal comparison and the shame or guilt or discouragement that comes with that. So demystify this idea of big and small. It's all relative. Something that is huge or massive progress, right? Someone who has been in an accident and is just learning to walk again, their first step is such a big deal that they can conquer and have the courage to do. Whereas for someone else, it might be something completely different. So identify what it is for you that is that big step and start living towards that. Don't let it be this just vague, small, big, I'm not doing enough, I'm not, define that for yourself and recognize that when you demystify it, you can actually start to see the steps that matter most to you. So I hope this little riff on internal comparison was useful to you. I hope your week is going amazing. I have more videos about some of these topics. I've talked about inspiration versus comparison before. There's some other videos you can check out like that. But anyways, I'm wishing you well, and I'll talk to you very soon. Later.